Let us move to question number 5. Caught napping by the powerful mining mafia after a bid on the life of the SDM, the police has now booked the driver of the tractor trolley and filed a FIR against him. So let us see the statement. Caught napping by the powerful mining mafia after a bid. So is there any error? So there seems to be no error in the first part. So let us take the second statement. On the life of the SDM, the police has now booked. So what should come in the place of the police has now booked? So we need to understand that the police can be a team or an individual. Here as a team means we have to take it as have. So on the life of the SDM, the police have now booked rather than has now booked. So that should be the correction to be made, and the correction is required in part B of the statement. So answer should be B. Let us move to question number 6. A letter of credit is a guarantee issued importer's bank that it will honor payment up to certain amount of export bills to the bank of the exporter. So what does this statement trying to say? A letter of credit is a guarantee issued by the importer's bank that it will honor payment up to certain amount of export bills to the bank of the exporter. So is there any correction required in part A? A letter of credit is a guarantee issued. There seems to be no correction. And let us see the part B. By the importer's bank that will honor. Here too it seems there is no correction required. Now to part 3. Payment up to certain amount of export bills. So is there any correction required? When you say payment up to certain amount, an article is missing here. So payment up to a certain amount of export bills should be the appropriate way of expression, and A has to be inserted before certain. So the correction is required in part 3, that is option C. Now let us move to question number 7. A private company is one which restricts transfer of shares and does not invite the public to subscribe its shares. So this statement is trying to say about a company which is transferring its shares and not inviting the public to subscribe its shares. So any correction required in any of this part, whether it is A, B, C or D? Let us see. A private company is one which there seems to be no change required, as it is trying to say about a company or a private company is one. And the next one, part B, restricts transfer of shares and does not. Yes, a private company is a single thing, restricts transfer of shares and does not invite the public to. And here in part C, that is invite the public to, even there we can't see any change required. Now let us see part D. Is there any change required? Subscribe its shares. Is there anything that is needed or to be removed? So we need to understand that subscribe to its shares will be appropriate rather than saying subscribe its shares. So the correction is required in part D, where it should be subscribe to its shares rather than subscribe its shares. Now let us move to the question number 8. Widows by far outnumber widowers because study shows that women live longer than men and tend to marry men older than them. Is there any error or no error? Let us see the first part. Widows by far outnumber widowers. Yes. So this statement seems to be correct. Widows by far outnumber widowers. So that it is trying to say that they are surpassing. And part B, because studies show that women live longer. Yes, it is trying to say about the life of the widow or the women. And third part, see, than men and tend to marry. So here too there is no correction required, as there is a comparison between men and the women. And fourth part, men older than them. So is it the right way to compare men older than them? Instead of saying men older than them, we can say that men older than themselves. Rather than putting an end saying them, it should be men older than themselves. So the correction is required in part D of this statement. So that would be apt. Now let us move to the next question. That is question number 9. Yesterday, my car ran out of gas and then my phone ran out of battery. I was up a creek without a paddle. So it says that the person is fully into problem. Yesterday, my car ran out of gas and then my phone ran out of battery. I was up a creek without a paddle. So there seems to be no correction required in any of these parts, either in A or B or C or D, as the case may be. So obviously we have to choose the right option, that is E. That means no error in the statement being given. So now let us move to the next question, that is question number 10. We couldn't set up the computer network ourselves, so we are banking with an IT engineer from the university to set it up for us. Is there any error or there is no error? So let us see the first part. We couldn't set up the computer network. Yes, that means we are unable to set up the computer network and ourselves, so we are banking with. Whether is it the correct statement? Ourselves, so we are banking with. So we need to say that instead of saying ourselves, so we are banking with, we need to correct it as ourselves, so we are banking on an IT engineer rather than with an IT engineer. So the correction is required in part B of this sentence. So B should be the right choice. Now let us move to the question number 11. All government officials above the rank of undersecretary have been issued circulars by their respective ministries to ask them to attend yoga classes in the run-up to the event. So any correction required in this? All government officials above the rank of undersecretary. Yes, it is trying to mention about people who are above a certain level. Part B, have been issued circulars by their respective ministries. Yes, they have been issued circulars by their respective ministries. Here too there is no correction being required. And let us see part C, to ask them to attend yoga classes. Will it be to ask them to attend yoga classes or asking them to attend yoga classes? So instead of saying to ask them to attend yoga classes, it should be asking them to attend yoga classes, and the correction is required in part C of this statement, which will be the right thing. Now let us move to question number 12. A serial entrepreneur who made his first fortune in the early days of World Wide Web, he has since helped find a solar power company to generate green electricity. So the statement says a serial entrepreneur who made his first fortune in the early days of World Wide Web, he has since helped find a solar power company to generate green electricity. So the first statement, there seems to be no error, as it is trying to mention that an entrepreneur was able to make his luck or piece of luck in the early days of World Wide Web. That means during the initial stage of the technological development. And if you see the third part, he has since helped find a solar power company. It may look like appropriate, but there is a mild change that is required, since instead of saying he has since helped find, it should be helped found a solar power company to generate green electricity rather than find a solar power company. So find should be replaced by found, and the option is required only in part C.